viewers, welcome to another edition of Africa Alive. We are going to deal with modern day slavery. That is the topic at hand today. And with me in the studio, I have Emily Martin from the Salvation Army. Emily.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
And also Bilikisu Savage from Africa.
Hello, thank you for having me.
They are going to take us through what it is, how to get help, and all the details, all we need to know about modern day slavery. Emily, I'll start with you. Now, you tell me what is the kind of work you do, what help, or what do you do in the Salvation Army to help the modern day slavery?
So the type of work that we do in the Salvation Army is that we support adult victims that are in the UK that have been identified for modern day slavery. So that can be all forms of slavery, but we also support very much victims who may be victims of domestic servitude. So when they are identified and encountered, we will assist them in order to go from victim to survivor and regain control of their lives.
Wow. That is really interesting. I hope everybody knows that. And Bilikisu Savage, can you please tell us what your work entails in relation to modern day slavery?
I'm one of Africa champion creating awareness for modern day slavery. Modern day slavery is quite prominent within the African Nigerian community, and that's why Africa has been brought on board to work to raise awareness. Among other champions, my work is to create awareness. Part of being here today is creating awareness because we have an issue where people have been brought to the UK to do domestic servant, which is quite illegal in the UK. And what we want to do today is talk about it, give some information to the community to make sure they know if there are signs of people working long hours, children not going to school, not just being within the community to be educated, and all they do is work all day, taking other children to school. We need to be aware of this. There are help out there. Africa is working with the Salvation Army. Africa have got champions that will talk about it, and we will raise awareness within the community to do that.
This is very interesting. But how exactly, that me, being an ordinary citizen, how would I be able to identify somebody going through that?
Right. What we have is, most of us go to the church or the mosque, and we will see people, families that probably got a young teenage, probably helping out in the house. What we need to be aware is this child well fed? Is this child clean? Does this child go to school? Or is this child just helping out 24/7? There will be signs to look out for, especially within the faith setting, because I would say most of us within the Nigerian setting go to church, go to the mosque, or we're involved with one community setting or the other. And so looking for that sign, especially where you have young child, I would say children on that age, in terms of maybe on the 18, on the 16, that predominantly they don't go to school. And all they do is just help out, washing, cleaning, dropping other children at school, and really they're domestic servants in the house, which is illegal in the UK. And those are the signs people need to be aware of.
And it is illegal also
for
children not to go to school.
Very much illegal, and that's why we want to create the awareness that people need to be aware. It is illegal when you have children that do not go to school and actually being employed in those worlds to help out in the household. That is illegal, so we need people to be aware of that.
Emily, you want to add anything?
So yes, essentially the public out there are the eyes and ears. Essentially this is very much a hidden crime in the UK, and there is nothing wrong with home help. Home help is perfectly fine within communities as long as the person who's giving that home help is being treated like a human being. It's when that becomes illegal is when they're not being treated. So for example, when they are beaten, when they are not fed, when they have to work 18 hours a day, when they're expected to sleep on the floor, when they're malnourished, those are circumstances where it's not okay. That's when it is very much illegal. And it can happen to anyone of any age. So it could be a child, it could be an adult. Yeah. And what we would ask the community, especially being eyes and ears, is that if you see something that's just not right, if it's something that just appears not correct and it's not a normal home help situation, then say something. There are confidential helplines out there that you can disclose information completely freely without it ever coming back to you. do help because you can save someone's life.
I could see from the clip we saw that even it is possible to identify it when you go visit some people.
Yes.
And then you saw we're all eyes and ears. We've become,
Yes.
well, secret agents.
Yes,
What-
exactly.
Call it that way.
But would that bring about enmity in the family or among friends that you're watching and you're telling?
What we need is the information so that the community can be reassured that by phoning to say, I'm a bit suspicious, I'm a bit concerned about this situation, can you look into it? That's what we want to put out there, so that the number is free, call the line, you don't have to give your details, just give our information, say there might be a person at danger that need help, we want you to have a look at it, and that's what we're asking the community to do.
But what exactly will you do if somebody is just being vindictive and say that, okay, I don't like this person, I'm going to put the person in trouble, and then they phone you up? So how do you know the difference?
Well, that's the thing. Because modern slavery and domestic servitude is a crime, just because we get a phone call doesn't mean that the police will come out straight away. They gather intelligence, and a lot of the time it's not just one phone call. It'll be many phone calls of a lot of people, and all of a sudden they get a story, and then they'll get more information, and then they will intercept. So it's not just because one person calls because they're being vindictive. That's not the situation, that's just one call. Generally, it's a number of calls about the same crime, about the same cruelty, that then results in the police coming out.
Okay. Do you share the same number?
We do. So that's the thing. The Modern Day Slavery Helpline is completely confidential, and it's intelligence gathering, and will support victims. And that's 08000 121 700. So that's 0800 012 1700, and that's for intelligence, so if you've got information. That being said, the Salvation Army have a referral line. It's again completely confidential, and if there are any victims watching this program today, please give us a call, because what we will do is we will help you. We will come and find you, and we will support you and take you away from your situation if you need it. So there is help out there. Please don't be scared to come forward. Please give us a call.
This is very interesting. But let's say somebody thinks that they are being abused, somebody in such a situation, a young person, and is able to run away. Where can they run to? Are there places? Do you have, or just the telephone, only the telephone?
They can run anywhere. Essentially, if they run away and they approach their church or they approach their mosque, just speak to the church leaders, speak to the church community. They will be able to help you. Speak to anybody you encounter in the street. Just ask them, please point me to the police, take me to the police, and the police will help. That's the thing, modern day slavery is a crime, so the person who's run away isn't a criminal, they are a victim and they will be helped. So whatever your perpetrator, whatever the person who's abused you has said, ignore it because it's a lie. We will help you if you need help.
Well, you've heard it, there's help out there for anybody in such a situation and people who find others in such a situation. But what if people are scared because of their immigration status?
It's irrelevant. The immigration status is irrelevant. If somebody is a victim, then that won't be considered when their case is being thought through the trafficking side. Now, obviously, at some point they will look at that, but if they are a victim and they need help, that is the most important thing, because it could save their lives, it could save your life. So please come forward.
Well, you've heard it all. We have audience here, and I'm sure some of them do have questions for you, or some concerns or contributions. Anybody in the audience? Yes, please, I will ask you to clearly say your name, and within a short time, go straight to your contribution or your question. Thank you.
My name is Vicky. I just wanted to ask, what happens with the perpetrators? What happens? Do they get persecuted? How do you go about dealing with them?
I think, to reassure you, we have a fair justice system in this country. If something is proven that they have been perpetrators and they've actually committed a crime, they will be prosecuted. But the first stage is we want the referral of that incident, that there has been a crime, somebody has been trafficked, abused against the law. So if it comes to that and it comes to trial, they will be dealt within the court system in this country. I can assure you that. And I think somebody wants to say.
If I can just add to that, slavery in the UK is a crime, and it's been reinforced by the Modern Slavery Act 2015. So if somebody is a persecutor, they will be prosecuted and they will be put in prison because it is a crime, and the victims will be supported. But it is very important to note that it is, if it's slavery, it's a crime, and they should be prosecuted for it.
Yes. Another person in the audience?
So my name is Ronke Aliudofia, and I'm the first Vice Chair of the Central Association of Nigerians in the UK, and I'm also an ambassador for Africa. The one thing I'd like to say is around raising awareness for people within the community, for them to understand actually what they're doing is wrong. So there is this process of what we call informal welfare system, where people, in quote, look after young people. I don't know which camera I'm supposed to be looking at, but hey, I'm not looking at any. Where young people are brought into homes so that they're looked after. And a lot of people keep on justifying their behavior through this informal welfare system. They are not aware, so the work we do is to make sure that they're aware of the frameworks in place so that they can at least take up what we call private fostering and do things in the correct way. So there's a whole big amount of work that needs to be done with the community for those people who are scared, they think they're doing the right thing, so that they can correct what they're, not correct, so that they can regularize, what they're doing, and obviously those people that are committing a criminal act can be brought to book.
Anybody else? Contribution? Yes, Grandma Lindiwe.
My name is Lindiwe Sele, and I'm retired, as you can see. But in my experience, I think that the Home Office contributes to this type of treatment, because a lot of the times people don't run away, or the children don't run away, because they're afraid of being sent back to Africa, to a worse poverty in most cases, because most of the times when you come across these cases, informally or formally, it is to do with the Home Office. So I think the persons we should be targeting is the Home Office.
The thing is, the Home Office there is an immigration system in the United Kingdom which they have to manage immigration.
Yeah.
What we would say is that the Home Office, if people are scared to come forward because their perpetrators and those who are abusing them have told them that they will be deported, that is not going to be the case. As a victim, they are entitled to support under legislation, under laws in the UK. They are entitled to support as a victim. So the Home Office will not deport them whilst they're receiving that support. I want to reassure people that whatever your abusers have said, that if you come forward, you will be deported. That is not the case. Your case will be heard, you will be given some support in the United Kingdom because you are a victim and you are entitled to rest and recover through your trauma.
And that's why Africa is working with the Home Office to raise the awareness, to reassure the community that that is the case, as Emily said, because one of the myths is exactly what the lady have said, that people feel that if they come forward, they will be deported automatically. That is not the case. There is a process, there is a law, and the Home Office will abide by that law.
Okay. But in some cases, some children are quite hard to manage. And what if they think, I know a family whose niece had to run away and tell the police nearby that she's been ill-treated, and just because she wanted to follow her peers and do what they're doing. And you know, in the African culture, we really believe in discipline. Some people overdo it, but I was brought up, like that, not being beaten, but at least being told what to do. Unlike in the UK, the laws allow the child to do what they like, and then they grow up and get spoiled sometimes, not all the time. So, but a child who intentionally, raises such an alarm, what do you do? That's question one. My second one is, how quick do people who need help get it? How quick?
I'll deal with the first one, and Emily can deal with the second one. I mean, in terms of people making allegation, and you, from what you say, it might be unfounded. The only thing I can say, there is a process, and it will be investigated. There has been instances where, allegedly, some people have made unfounded allegation because they feel by going out there, they will be treated differently as opposed to the home. There's something I would like to reassure people. Any allegation made will be looked into, and if it's unfounded, that person will be reassured that actually whatever's happened with their home setting is correct. In terms of reassuring people, one of the things we need to be clear about is there's difference between discipline and modern day slavery. But I think we need to be clear about that within the home setting. There's, parents can discipline their children within the law, within the parameters, but that is totally different from modern day slavery. Let me answer the question.
So with regards to how quickly they will get support, essentially what will happen is the person will come forward. If they come forward with the police will contact, and then they will be asked whether they want to go, as an adult, whether they want to go through what is known as the National Referral Mechanism. That's essentially the gateway to the support that's provided. If they want that support, and say for example, someone has run away from their situation with the clothes on their back, and they've got absolutely nowhere to go, they will be supported from the moment they enter the National Referral Mechanism, if that's what they want.
Okay.
So it will really depend on what that person needs, because an example is if you have, or if the victim has nowhere to go, nowhere to live, then they will be provided with safe house accommodation, and then they will be provided with additional specialist support, such as signposting to counselling, legal support. If there are issues with immigration, we will provide them with the support of a solicitor to deal and go through the process of immigration. That's someone who's homeless, for example.
Yeah.
But not everyone is. People will run away and seek shelter within their communities. So if they have a community, such as a church community, we will look at finding out whether that person, that accommodation that they're in, is safe for them. If it is safe, it's not for us to take them away from their safety to bring them into a safe house. So what we will do is we'll work with that community, and we will say, well, we'll get someone into your community as outreach, and we will provide that outreach support, and they will get the same specialist support just without the accommodation. The care that we give is very much tailored to the individual, because not every victim is the same. So we will look at what that person needs, what that person wants, and then from there we will provide that support.
I think the key thing I'd like to add is we want people to come forward so that it can be assessed. Because the key thing is people coming forward, then the assessments will be done. How quickly it's done depends on the circumstances of that person. That's one of the reasons why we want to make sure people
tailored to the needs
of that person. I think it's crucial for people to be aware that, we want people listening to them to be aware that where they feel they're a victim, to call the helpline, to go on website, to talk to people. There are a number of people out there like myself who are promoting this as Africa champions, making this issue aware within our community. So we do want people to come forward, because from there the assessments will be done. And in terms of how quickly, it's not a slow process, but it's just the due process of the law has to take place.
Okay. Salvation Army and Africa, you're doing a great job. You're really, really doing a great job. Thank you. A lot of people do not know that they can get help. And a lot of people see the situation and think, oh, what a pity, oh, what a situation, and don't do anything about it. Now we know that we really have to do something about it. We are all in it together. And especially I know that the Prime Minister, Theresa May, is very passionate about this, and she's concerned. Many times I watch her talking about modern day slavery and everything like that. So thank you for coming on board. And if there's anything else, just a reminder, you want to individually tell the audience?
If I can just add, domestic servitude is hidden. You are our eyes and ears. Without you, people will continue to be slaves. If you see something that doesn't feel right, if you think that this person might be a slave, please come forward with information, because you could literally be saving someone's life.
And what I'll also say is Africa champions, including myself, will come out to the community to do awareness presentation. So if any church, any mosque has the interest to promote this, by all means get in touch to us through Africa, and we'll come out to do that presentation, because we want to raise the awareness. We want to talk to the community so that there can be more awareness within our community, because we want to reduce the numbers of domestic slavery.
I was going to ask you that.
Yes.
You know, thanks for reminding me.
Yes.
Well, you're telling all of us to be your ears and eyes.
Yes.
But do you actually go to
Yes.
churches and mosques?
Yes, yes, we do. We
Well,
do.
you haven't been to my church.
Yes, and that's why I'm
Well,
telling you. I'm telling you now.
That's only a joke.
We do that. Yeah.
One more question. Yeah. Sometimes some people leave Africa with the intention of coming to be domestic servants here.
Yes.
And they get that kind of visa and everything.
Yeah.
But on getting here, things do change. Are they in the same category?
So essentially, if they've come here legally and they are working legally and essentially they've got a contract and everything's fine and they're paid and they're given a suitable accommodation, they're given food, that is completely legal. If, however, when they arrive, it changes, so they aren't being fed, they are being beaten, they have been placed on the floor in a cupboard, and that's where they have to sleep. They work 18 hours a day all the time. That is illegal, and that's the category of modern day slavery and domestic servitude.
Okay. Well, you've heard it all. So anybody else in the audience? One more. Barrister.
Thank you. I think the efficacy of the modern day slavery depends very much on people coming forward, isn't it?
Yes.
The trouble I have, of course, is wouldn't there be a risk of these people coming forward and subsequently finding out that after the investigation and going through due process, they're deported back from the country of base? And leads to the second question, does therefore that mean a difficulty for you? Because most people will see the effect of it and may not come forward.
It is a balancing act to have, because there's always that element of risk that, you know, you come here and you alleging you've been abused, you've been through domestic slavery. At the end of the day, you always have to make a decision as to whether your case is believed, whether you can be granted a stay in the UK. And I want to reassure you, as there's a due process, there's justice in this country. I want to assure you, the Home Office has a fair balance system in place where there are caseworkers that will listen to your case, and as long as you have a valid case to be heard, it will be taken through. There might be instances, I don't want to give false hope, there might be instances where, at the end of the case might be refused. Salvation Army Africa will support you, because at the end of the day, there might be instances where some people actually choose to go home, actually, and I think I don't want us to focus so much on deportation. That's very minute. Some people haven't gone through the trauma of being domestic servant, they actually choose to go home. And there are support out there through Africa, through Salvation Army, through churches and mosques, supporting people that it's your choice to go voluntarily. Very, very rarely, there might be instances where people are deported, but that's a long way.
How many, I mean, in terms of maybe percentage, how many successes of were staying that people you have helped and they weren't deported, or people who voluntarily returned and you give them help all the way? I want you to touch on a few successes to encourage people to come forward.
So unfortunately I don't have the statistics about how many percentage have stayed and how many have been removed. What I can say is when it comes to those who want to return, the Salvation Army actually have a program in Nigeria directly supporting victims, either returning or for victims to make sure that they don't become victims in the first place. So in Nigeria, there are communities and support networks to ensure that people don't fall victim to such a crime. And that's what I would say is of the successes, because it's true, there are a lot of people who have, for want of a better word, been kidnapped. They don't want to be here. They've been taken away from their families and all they want is to go home. And if that is the case, then we can help, because we can provide that assistance and that support. And then when they get to Nigeria, they can engage with the program that's currently in Nigeria.
To stabilize them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
That's very good. And you do the same as well?
Well, within Africa, Africa will go through that process to support people as well.
All the way?
All the way. Yes.
Well
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
I'm so happy to hear this, and our audiences will be happy to hear this, and viewers at home too. You know, this is an educative process. A lot of us do not know that we are the ears and the eyes. Please, if you see anything, do not keep quiet. If you do, well, I wouldn't say what will happen to you. Nothing will. As it is, you know that your conscience should be your guide. Yeah, but keep your eyes open. Pick every little nuances and every little trait so that you can save somebody's life. Thank you. We'll come to the end of this segment. We'll do another one later. Thank you.